But my voice is somewhat coming back, so I can finally record a series of videos that I wanted to do, which is my Return to Ravnica card analysis and pre-release primer. So I'm going to go through each of the colors, one video at a time, and this is designed for you guys that are going to any pre-releases or release drafts, or whichever one, to give you guys a little bit of an edge, and if something seems like it's going to be playable in Standard, I'll give it a mention. So let's go ahead and begin with Angel of Serenity. Big 7-mana 5/6 flyer that does a ton of stuff. I would say that if you're playing sealed or even draft, like, this is a possibility. Just beware because of the triple white cost. You have to heavily invest in the white. And the mana fixing is pretty good in this set for a set because you got the common gates, but I'll talk about those later. Nevertheless, Angel of Serenity seems like a pretty powerful card, and probably one worth considering if you open it. Next we have Armory Guard, so it's a 5-mana 2/5. It has Vigilance as long as you control a gate. I'm never a big fan of 2/5s for 4. There's always a few of them. There's occasionally 2 4s for 4, which are equally as worse. But I think that this is, in this set, I've noticed that there's a lot of 2 toughness guys, 2 power and 2 toughness guys. So if you have something that has more than 2, if it has 2 power and more than 2 toughness, it's probably pretty good as a wall. So Armory Guard's not that bad. Next we have Arrest, which is one of the better uncommons you can get in the set. So yeah, Arrest is insane. Play it. Splash for it. It's very, very good in limited. Standard, not so much. Next you have Avenging Arrow. 3 mana, destroy target creature that dealt damage this turn. I really don't like it that much. But if you're desperate for removal, it could be okay. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as Arrest. Next we have Azorius Arrestor. It's a 2/1 for 2 that detains a creature an opponent controls when it enters the battlefield. I think it's okay. It's not as good as, say, Azorius Justicar, because it's a 4-mana 2/2 that detains 2 creatures, which it's basically saying, you can you play this guy, detain 2 that are big creatures, and you can alpha strike and probably just win the game. Next you have Bizarre Crovoid, so it's another 5-mana 2/5, but whenever this guy attacks, another target attacking creature gets +0/+2 and untap it. Unfortunately, you can't use the ability on itself, so you have to be attacking with something else, and that's why, he's okay, but he's not, as good as I'd like. Next you have Concordia Pegasus, 2-mana 1/3 flyer. Even though it has evasion, a 1 power flyer is typically not that good, unless you get, multiples like Lingering Souls and stuff like that. But a 1/3 flyer for 2 is not that good, so keep that in mind. Even though if you want to draft a flying deck, Concordia Pegasus is not that good. Next we have Ethereal Armor. 1 mana, gives a creature +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. Meh. Not insane. Putting out a flyer if you have a ton of enchantments is doable, but otherwise not anything I'm impressed by. Same with Eyes in the Skies. Just put a 1/1 white bird, then populate. If you have a good token to populate, sure, but apart from, like, my guess is the most common one would be like a 3/3 Centaur token or something like that. So yeah, if you're able to make it work with a giant slime token, yeah, that's good. But otherwise, I'm a little bit sketchy. It's an instant, so I look at it more as like a combat trick than anything else. Next, you have Fencing Ace, which for limited purposes is not that good unless you have a ton of pump spells. But for personal purpose, I want all of them, so send them to me. I want them. I'm a fencer of 8 years. Yeah. Next, you have Keening Apparition, 2-mana 2/2. Sacrifice and destroy target enchantment. It's basically Silver Chase Fox, except Silver Chase Fox was better since they exiled it. Sometimes you just, if you're building a very aggressive deck, sometimes you just need a Grizzly Bears. Next we have Knightly Valor. She's a 5-mana enchant creature. When it comes to the battlefield, put a 2/2 white knight with vigilance, and enchanted creature gets +2/+2 in vigilance. I think this is just a little bit expensive. I mean, if you're doing something with enchantments, yeah, that's good. Or if you have a token theme going, it's also fine. But 5 mana, you gain 4 power out of it, which is not bad. Next, we have Martial Law, which is very good in Limited. At the beginning of your upkeep, detain target creature and opponent controls. That's very, very good in Limited. So you should, play that if you get the chance. Same with Palisade Giants, 6 mana 2/7. All damage that be dealt to you or another permanent is dealt to this guy instead. So they have to deal 7 damage in a turn total for it to die, which is, a pretty decent amount. Next you have Phantom General, so it's a 2/3 for 4 that creature tokens get +1/+1. If you're going Celestia and have a ton of tokens, it's definitely pretty powerful. And overall, I think it's just pretty good. Next you have Precinct Captain, so it's a 2/2 first strike. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1. If you're going very aggressive on the white, it seems pretty good. Otherwise, it's still pretty good. It's a 2/2 first strike for 2. I think it's the first strike is what puts it above and beyond. Next you have Rest in Peace, which is not, I mean, it's good against Golgari in Limited. It's going to see far more standard play if it gets the chance. Hoses zombies, like, completely. Next we have Rootborn Defenses, so it's a 3-mana populate. Creatures you control are indestructible this turn. I kinda like it. I mean, it's pretty good and Limited if you have the token, because then you make you guys indestructible. You could like quadruple block or something and kill a big guy. But it's something to keep in mind. So if you're attacking and they have some creatures and then they have 3 mana open, keep your eyes open for this one. Next you have Security Blockade, so it's a 3 mana enchant land. You put a 2/2 and you taps to prevent 1 damage that will be dealt to you. Why couldn't it have been dealt to you or target creature you control? That would have made it so much better. Even still, it seems meh. Again, if you have the enchantment theme going, it's also pretty meh. Next, you have Celestia Sanctuary, a 3/2 for 3 that has Regenerate for 6. I don't think that it's that good in this format. As I mentioned, there's a lot of 2-power guys, and 2 toughness is not where you want to be. So you basically have to have 6 mana for regeneration, which means it's late in the game. You haven't and you're basically using your whole turn to regenerate it, which is not that good. Next, you have Seller of Songbirds, so it's a 1/2 that puts a 1/1 flyer into play. Meh, not that good. Again, 1-power flyers are not that great. You want 2 or more to make them really good. Next, you have Soul Tithe, which I think is pretty good. You enchant an online permanent. At the beginning of the upkeep, that player sacrifices it unless they pay X, where X is its mana cost. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as the rest, because if it's something they really want, they'll pay the mana, but at least they lose a turn. Sphere of Safety. I think that there is an enchantment sub-theme available, so if you're able to pick this up along with a ton of enchantments, people can get pretty frustrated. Next, you have Sunspire Griffin, which is more what I'm talking about. It's a 2/3 flyer for 3. So it's the Geist from Innistrad block, same cost and everything. And this is a good flyer. So if you pick this guy up, he's pretty solid. Next, you have Swift Justice, a cheap combat trick, but I think it's a very good one. +1/+0 first strike and lifelink. Does serious work, especially since it's only 1 mana. It's very hard to play around. So playing 1, maybe 2, probably no more than 1 of these is a good way to, at least game 1, trick your opponent and get a swing in your favor. Next you have Trained Caracal, which is just a 1/1 lifelink for 1, which is not good. And Tristani's Judgment, which it says exile target creature then populate. It's instant speed too. I think it's pretty good. It's removal. It's expensive removal, but if you remember, like Banishment Decree from Scars of Mirrodin block and stuff like that, it's all play. Not much, but a little bit. this is just even better because it actually exiles the creature. And if you have tokens, you can abuse it. So, pretty good for limited. Thank you guys for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe.